If I were to ask you to show me your goals, what would you say? Those are dreams. That's still not quite it. Today we're going to walk through how to go from dreams to actionable goals, ones you can do something about. Track your progress and take actionable steps toward. For those of you with big rodeo dreams, that's actually a fantastic place to start. And the very first thing I want you to do is write down the wildest, most awesome version of the future that you can imagine. I like to do this as if 2025 is already over. It's December 2025, and I'm writing a recap of all the really awesome things that I've accomplished this year. Something you want to win, like an event you want to qualify for, even some personal milestones, depending on where you're at in your journey. Something with your horse or with yourself personally, maybe time you want to reach for barrel racers, maybe it's like a division you want to get into. For those of us farther along, maybe it's getting your permit, filling your permit. The sky's the limit. Don't hold back at all. So how do we turn those big dreams you just wrote down into goals? The next step is going to be to write down impossible goals. Those are goals that feel big and scary and out of reach, but they look like goals. They're going to have a deadline. They're going to have a way to measure it, and they're going to be things that you could take action towards. And honestly, you want them to feel a little scary. So, not necessarily something you're going to hold yourself to, but if you were to write out your dreams in goal form, pick 3 that resonate the most with you and write those down. So, now that you have your impossible goals, we're going to turn those into actionable goals. So take each one and imagine you just took one baby step in the right direction of that goal. What would that be? Do that for each of the 3 impossible goals you just wrote down. What's the smallest level that I could do that at? Keep doing this for each of the impossible goals you wrote down. This will give you some direction and things you can start working on right now. Now, we're going to start creating your action plan to reach your goals in 2025. The very first thing I want you to do is pick something with a deadline. We've already talked about how important deadlines are for goal setting, and it's absolutely critical here. I found this jackpot that I want to enter, and it is February 14th. So I'm going to write that down as my deadline. 2/14, right at 4 weeks to get ready. I want you to write that down too, because February 14th felt really far away until I counted how many weeks away it was. The other thing I want you to do is write down, or maybe even circle if you have a copy of the flyer, the specifics around entry fees, the format, the payout. This is especially important if you have financial goals like I do around rodeo. I need to know exactly what I'm paying in and exactly how they pay money out. Now I want you to write down your goal. So what you want to happen by this deadline. I wrote down my goal, knowing the format of the roping and what I'm going to need to accomplish. The next thing you're going to want to do is continue thinking through that strategy and write it down. So you're not changing your plans, changing your strategy when you get there. That's one of the worst things you can do. The next thing you're going to write down are 3 actions that you need to take to support your strategy. Write those down, think through what that looks like. These should be things that you can physically do. Next, what habits and plans do you need to put in place to be able to accomplish these actions? The difference between a habit and a plan: a habit is something that you do all the time. or that you maybe start doing with the intention of doing it with some regular cadence and consistency. For example, I want to make sure that my horses are in peak condition. So my habits are things like feeding grain in the and keeping grass hay in front of them at all times. I also want to start exercising my horses twice a week. Plans are things you need to schedule. If I'm going to practice roping, I need to have someone to either help me load cows and run the chute or run the ranger and pull my dummy. Final thing to write down somewhere as you are making this action plan is your budget. I know budget is a dirty word almost in the rodeo world, but in reality, it's something we all struggle with. If you talk to anyone about what holds them back the most from their rodeo goals, they're going to bring up money. It's just how it goes. I want to be really clear on what I need to have ready budget wise for this rodeo. I'm going to write down my entry fees, how much I think fuel is going to cost me. I will probably pay for stalls at this event. So I'm going to budget in all of those other things. If you have any other expenses, write those down too. It's better to know up front and be prepared than to get to the rodeo stressed about money and not able to perform your best. Now, if you found this format helpful, I actually have worksheets to guide you through exactly this. I'll provide a link down below in the description. And if this is really your thing, it's kind of mine. I have created a 2025 rodeo planner that is printable and also available at the same link. It includes both of the worksheets that we just went through around goal setting, creating an action plan for each month, a monthly plan where you can check in on your goal progress, set new deadlines, write down what habits you're working on, track your progress on those. There's also some financial tracking. Don't panic. You can't improve what you aren't measuring. You're going to write down your planned expenses and your progress on saving up for those. And as you get through the month, there's also a place to write down your top 5 wins. There's a calendar for each month where you can plan anything you have going on in life that might make it challenging. For me, in January, I have my son's birthday on the 30th. Wyatt's mom was here last weekend. His dad's coming this weekend. That's going to make weekend practice harder, so I'm going to need to practice during the week. There's also a weekly planner version. In this weekly planner, there is a spot for each day, Monday through Sunday, where you can write down either what you plan to do and also kind of note how things went. There's a spot to write down your top 3 priorities for the week. We can make all kinds of great plans. Sometimes those slip through the cracks and you end up doing a bunch of stuff that wasn't really the priority in the first place. Each month, I've also included a rodeo review where you can write down your event, how it went, the results, be able to look back and see how the ropings or rodeos or events you entered panned out. There's spots to write down what went well, what needs improvement, and then your actual expenses and earnings, which is really great to compare to what you budgeted. My planner includes a budget tracker for each event where you can write down any income you got. Each quarter, I've also included a revised goal sheet and action plan so you can reset those goals. If you're ready to get serious about rodeo and approach it with a plan, this is for you. Check it out. The goal setting sheet and rodeo action plan are absolutely free. We walked through it today. But if you want to use the exact worksheets I followed, the link will be in the description. Thank you for watching and best of luck on the Rodeo Road.